Ed Mylett is one of the fastest growing business personalities who has been listed by Forbes as a top 50 under 50. He went from being born into a middle-class family, becoming broke and having a shower at a public pool, to being worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Ed Mylett, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Choose who you associate with.
The most powerful way and the easiest way to change your thermostat setting is by adding people to your circle, very close proximity, that live at a higher temperature in that area than you do. For example, in your faith, let's just say, you're a 75 degreer in your faith. You've already seen this. You can't possibly begin to regularly associate with good, godly people who pray regularly, who try to live righteously, and they're at 110, 120 degrees of faith in their life, and not have that proximity heat you up. Now, you won't get to where they are. You'll get to somewhere between where you are at 75 degrees and they are at 110. Over time, you become 100 degreer. And you alter the thermostat setting through association. Same in business. If you and I were to hang around each other every single day, and let's say you were a 75 degreer in business, hypothetically, and I don't know that about you, but let's just say you were, and I was 150 degreer, and we hung around each other all the time. Don't you think through that association, especially if you had 2 or 3 or 4 people like me in your life, that just over time, you don't even feel it. You're at 80, you're at 85, you're at 90, you're at 95, and that's where you are. We understand the power of this with our children, because we know at school, the teachers have influence over them, they're mentors, but the people that really have influence over our children are their friends, because they're around them all the time. And so we know it sets their temperature. This is true in fitness. If you're a 75 degree of fitness, and every meal, every day at the gym, all your associations, hypothetically speaking, were with someone who was shredded and fit the way you wanted to look at 150 degrees, you know over time you get heated up. And so you can't be with someone every day, you can't be with them all the time, but the key is to get more proximity in the areas that matter with people whose thermostat setting is higher than yours. I am a product. You are listening to me right now because I've been so obsessed with this concept of adding new associations to my life that live in the areas that I want to improve in at higher temperatures than me. It's my obsession to this day. I'll give you a secret. One of the reasons I even do my show is I know that I'm influencing many of these guests in the areas that matter most to them through our proximity, and in some cases they do it for me. And so I'm obsessed with the power of association, but I don't just associate. See, all personal says, yeah, you're the 5 people you hang around. Kinda. You really are the 5 to 10 people you hang around if you're conscious all the time of studying them, of observing them, of asking questions, of the fact that you should be altering your thermostat setting. That's when it really moves. It's not just hanging around. It's consciously and intentionally spending time with people where you allow it to impact you, where you study them, where you really observe them, where you're open to their influence. There has to be a level of trust before you can do that, where you surrender yourself to them. But it's not just being around them. It's intentionally being around people that alters that thermostat setting. So power of association is the main way to do it.
Rule number 2, keep promises with yourself.
Listen, guys, it's appreciation and intentional appreciation. So one of the things, I'm a crazy list maker. I make lists. Most people I know are kind of people who make lists. That person's blowing your phone up right now.
I know. I just put it on airplane mode.
Yeah, mine's doing that too. And so I make lists of stuff I got to do every day. Why do I do that? Well, it reminds me of what I do. But what I do is self-confidence is the process of keeping the promises you make to yourself. You've probably all heard me say that, Lewis say that before. But how do you do that? Well, for me, it's the visual delivery of it for me. So if it says like Instagram Live with Lewis at 10 a.m., make sure I text Bedros Koulian back today. Whatever it is, right? I've got to prepare a training I'm going to be doing in a week. I'm doing a Las Vegas TV show today. I got to prep for that. And so when I do something and I check the box, I don't just do it. I intentionally go, nailed it, got it. and I start banking these deposits in myself, so to speak, of another promise kept, another promise kept, another promise kept. That's something you could be doing right now. I had a little one last night, bro. I'm going to share something with you. Yeah. Patrick Schwarzenegger and I are pretty good friends. I know you know Patrick too. And I'm watching Patrick's Instagram.
Wait, didn't I connect you guys?
I think you did connect us, dang it. You're right. That's actually right.
I connected you to Maria Shriver because he said.
That's right. That's perfect example of collecting. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you just said that. Yes, you did, as a matter of fact. And Patrick's this good-looking model, actor, personal improvement guy, you know, but he's so good-looking. He's like a Lewis Howes lookalike. And but on his Instagram, he's eating ice cream and eating cake every single day. Well, he can get away with it, whatever his metabolism is, right? And I've been training hard, but you may think this is silly, everyone, but I have had a little bit the last 2 weeks of an ice cream problem.
Dude, I had a pint of ice cream last night. I'm with you, man.
Dude, I have been plowing ice cream in my pie hole, like so bad. And I'm like, so no matter what I'm doing to work out, I'm like, I never sit around and eat ice cream. I mean, maybe once a month or something. Every damn night I'm on ice cream. And so last night, this may seem like a simple promise. Here's how small life can get when you're in this. I woke up yesterday. It was Easter. I had Easter with my family. And I had to drive back out here to the beach to work today. And I'm like, no ice cream tonight. No ice cream tonight. And it was on my list of things to do that day was don't eat ice cream. And I got here last night. And I did my work all day, and I do what you do. I turn on Netflix, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to catch up on Ozarks for about an hour.
Oh, my
here.
Gosh. No, I finished that in the first 2 days. Yeah,
right, which is going to turn into 8 hours, of course, right? All of a sudden, it's 1 a.m. But about midnight, I'm like, that ice cream sounds damn good right now.
Man.
And then
a couple bites.
Just a couple bites. And then I'm like, well, it's 12:05, so technically it's the next day. You know, you start playing these games. It's not actually Sunday anymore.
You kept your promise. Yeah.
I kept the promise. But the point is, I actually started to walk to the freezer and the refrigerator. You may think this is stupid, everybody. And I went, no. And I turned back around. I got a bottle of water, and I sat and watched another show, and then I went to bed. But you may go, that's nothing. To me, that was another deposit in my self-confidence inventory. I'm keeping promises I make to myself, right? So these things may seem small, but at 49 years old this month, the reason I went from having no self-esteem, no self-confidence whatsoever to where I am now, which is pretty confident, is that I started this process that I know works, which is promise kept, promise kept, promise kept. And I've made thousands of these deposits to where when one thing hits me that rocks my self-confidence, it doesn't take away from the thousands of promises I've kept to myself. So just think about that. What are the small things you could be doing?
Rule number 3, execute with certainty.
Speed's important, and so is certainty. Look, I've made a whole bunch of mediocre decisions that I've executed with intensity and passion and made them win. There's no perfect decision. In fact, imperfect decision made with speed and complete certainty. You think about in a football game, not every play that's called is perfectly called, but it's the way you execute the play with certainty that matters. Not every play call is right. People think, well, the Patriots are the best team in the world because their play calling is just incredible. Nah, I will tell you that the play calling is pretty good. It's the way they execute that play. Even in a bad play call, they find a way to win. And that's what I meant earlier about advice. You got to know you're going to win, know you're going to score, and then ask for advice from that place from a credible source. So those are my 2.
Rule number 4, accept the truth.
The key to a happy life, see, we all know that. Like we say, hey, life happens for you. Everything that's ever happened negative, didn't it end up being kind of something you learned or improved from? And you always know it in hindsight. Yeah. The question is, can you begin to live your life in such a way that you know it in present time? That as you're experiencing that adversity, as you're experiencing the fear, in that moment, you can accept the truth. This is happening for me. Like my dad, driving out here, my dad's got cancer. He's in chemo right now. Yeah. And like his 3rd bout. What the hell? How is that happening for me? Yeah. How is it good that my dad's got cancer? Because there's a ton of negatives. But candidly, he's had it for a couple years. It's changed my life for the better. Now, I don't want to lose my father. It's horrible. But the for me part, I take my own relationships with my kids completely differently. When the phone rings now, I'll be honest, when it was my dad before, if I was busy, I'm like, I'll call him back.
Yeah.
Now I pick it up. Hey, Dad. My dad tells me he loves me 100 times more than he ever did before. Our relationship's different. Time is precious with him. It's ironically been an incredible gift in all of those other ways. My own health and mortality, I'm more aware of all of a sudden because my dad's going through it.
Yeah.
So I've embraced this is happening for me, not to our family, even as we're going through this really hard time now, and it's made me happier.
I love the book by my brother Evan Carmichael, Built to Serve You guys. This is the kind of thing you get in this book. Most people wake up and drive to a job they hate. Think about your 5 closest friends. Are they happy? Do they live their lives with purpose? Do you? We put on a fake front for what we want people to see and think about us, but the reality is most people aren't happy. We're lost. We settle. You can't be happy if you don't know your purpose. And then he goes on to explain how to do that. You guys should get this book, Built to Serve, by my dear friend Evan Carmichael.
Rule number 5, know other people's needs.
There are 6 human needs.
Yep.
Those, and they're not wants, they're needs. There's not 8 of them. There's 20. There's 6. And these needs, by the way, at any given time, 1 or 2 of them are dominant. And the needs are the need for certainty, right, in your life. Ironically, the need for uncertainty.
Yep.
The need for love and connection. The need for significance and recognition. And then growth and contribution. So certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance, growth, contribution. Those are the 6 needs. And one of the things we do when we message people when they don't respond is we message them with our needs. Like what Lewis is saying.
Yeah.
I need this. Can you help me?
I need a job. I need money. I need help.
Correct.
Yeah.
I need help with this one question. The second thing is to get me to respond to something when I was, say, 25 years old, I had a giant need. So think through what's the need of those 6 that's dominant for this person I'm messaging. Stay with me, everyone, on this, okay? Because when I was 26 years old or 25 years old, one of my dominant needs was significance and recognition, just like yours was, right? I wanted to be somebody. If you said, hey, you know, I can get you on my podcast, there's 1 million people listening, I'd be like, whoa, significance, right? So that would be my need. My need, actually, if you were to evaluate me now, is really contribution.
Yeah.
Growth. So one of the things you could say is you'd help other people. You'd make a difference. Think about what my need might
You'd
be.
impact 1 million lives if you did this 20-minute thing with me. Yeah.
Right. You did it when you asked me to come speak at School of Greatness. It was you did it sincerely, but it wasn't like, hey, Ed, there'll be a big crowd. It was like, Ed, I really think my family would respond so well to you right now. Yeah. And I went, I'm in. I don't care what it requires. I'm in because I want to serve. I want to make a difference. My button is service right now. That may change. Maybe in a year it's certainty. But for right now, it's contribution for me. Contribution and growth are my dominant ones.
Rule number 6, set big goals.
There are people listening to this who are not wired. It's okay if you were watching this and say, my goals aren't financial. I'll accept that for a second. What I don't accept is when people tell me that, but it's not replaced with another obsession that would fulfill them. If it's, you know, I want to have 1 million children get educated, or I want to feed 1 million people, or I want to start a charity that does XYZ for homeless women.
All those things will take money.
Those things do take money. Well, or the raising of money, right, from someone else. And so I find it that people either aren't clear on what their obsessions are, or when they get them, they're just some arbitrary thing they've set low that they think everybody else would think is a big deal. And so we were just off camera right before we went live, and we were both saying to each other, which is just, you know, probably only say to each other, is we both really feel like we're behind. We really feel uncomfortable with where we are because what we want to achieve. When I've done my show, the number one thing that surprised me, Omar, is in my podcast, in my show, is when I interview people, some say it on camera, but almost all of them say it off camera. And that is that, honestly, this is something people would be shocked by. The mega achievers that I have on my show struggle with what I would even call borderline depression. This is a secret that most people won't tell you, right?
I've seen it on my show as well, yeah.
And okay, so you understand
they're not fulfilled, they're not happy. They made the money, but they don't have a momentum.
I think there's an element of that.
Right.
And I think there's another element that people that are mega achievers have such gigantic standards and outcomes for themselves that they're never quite meeting them. And I kind of like that. I kind of think that having some discomfort with where you are, everyone thinks, I think everyone's fantasy is, I want to get somewhere where I don't want something anymore. Listen to me on this. I think a lot of people think, if I could just get somewhere where I no longer feel uncomfortable, where I no longer want something I don't have, where I'm no longer seeking something, what they're really saying is, I'd like to get somewhere where I no longer will grow again. right? I don't want that. I always want to be in a state of discomfort, a state of growth, a state of contribution. And so you better be careful that whatever you set, that as you're approximating it, as you're getting closer, that the next one's thrown out there, the next one's thrown out there. We spent the better part of the last 2 hours, both of us, we're playing cards. What do you want, man? What makes you happy?
He was beating me at cards.
I took literally all his money tonight, as a matter of fact, right? Well, all the money that was on the table. But the point I think I would make to you is that your obsessions are what you're going to get. So be very careful what you choose, make them big, and make sure that there's something that at least at this stage of where you are in your current level of awareness, you believe truly would make you happy, truly would make you fulfilled, and be very careful when you set them. And so if that's $1 million, great. Like, we're both at a point now where, and we don't mean it in a condescending way whatsoever. I know that $1 million is not a lot of money in this world.
Right.
Maybe it was a lot of money in 1940, but it's not anymore. People that make six figures, and bless their heart, there are still people walking around that have deluded themselves into comfort and thinking, I'm successful because I make six figures. 6 figures was a lot of money in 1965, man.
Right.
This is 2018, 2019, when some people will watch this. That's not a lot of money now. And really neither is 7 figures in income anymore, right? And so it's just a matter of you getting aware of what your capacity is. And the more you're aware of how spectacular you're wired, the less you'd shortchange yourself with really small goals.
Rule number 7, align your thoughts and feelings.
I'm a huge believer in the power of intention and awareness. So when these negative thoughts creep in, whatever they are, fear, I'm aware of my own thinking. And once you're aware of a thought, it loses its power to have a feeling over you. This is what most people don't understand. So we're all going to have those thoughts like, oh, I'm losing my dad. It's a horrible thing. When you're aware of that negative thought, the feeling loses its power over you. One of the things that I think people need to start to understand is, if you don't align your thoughts and your feelings, neither one has any power. There has to be a congruency between what you're thinking and what you're feeling. That's why, like, for example, when people set up all these goals, I'm going to make $1 million, or I'm going to go to the NFL, or I'm going to be happy, or I'm going to lose 20 pounds. In the moment you're having that thought, if you're feeling that you can't have it, if you're feeling that's not going to happen, your body, which is your unconscious mind actually at work, the feeling overrides the thought, and that goal has no power. That's why, like, when you played on my show, I was going to say this to you afterwards, and I did, and you're talking about how you'd visualize these things happening. One of the things about visualization that happens is if you put yourself in the movie of your life, you begin to feel what it feels like to catch that pass in the end zone. So the thought is simultaneous with the feeling. So if you can begin to visualize what your goals are and allow yourself to feel it in the present time, and there's the gift I'll give you. If you could already experience gratitude for an event or a goal that has not yet happened, but you can experience the gratitude. So when you'd have these visualizations, you probably didn't know you were doing it when you played, but you're visualizing the catch. You're visualizing the celebration. You're already in a gratitude state about having received the goal you have.
Yep.
Now you've aligned in congruence your feelings with your thoughts. Now you're a powerful MFer. But what most people do in their life is they either have the conscious thoughts overridden by their like lack. I have never done this before. I'm not going to do it. I've always been 20 pounds overweight. I don't have $1 million in the bank. And they write down all these goals that aren't linked with the feeling. And people say, well, how do I get the feeling? You get the feeling by having gratitude for the event before it's happened.
Yeah.
So gratitude would be my answer. I'm trying to find the thing I'm grateful for during this event in the present time.
Rule number 8, be more present.
I've made a mistake in my life, and that is it's contrary to what I teach. I've not been great in my life at being present. I've not been great at it. I think a lot of achievers struggle with this, and I go in and out of this mode where if I was at the pool yesterday with my kids, and I'm looking at them, and man, Max is going to college this year. My daughter's like a young woman now, you know, and I wish when they were a little younger that those moments when we were in the pool when they were younger, I was just with them and not thinking about work and thinking about protecting them and thinking about saving for college and being in the moment and enjoying now, right? Like really enjoying now. And the moments I'm the most effective, the most blissful, the most joyful, spreading it is when I'm the most present. And I've always struggled with that because I'm always dreaming about the future and wanting to achieve in the future. The best me is the one when you're just, me and you are in the backyard, you know,
hanging out.
And it's just me and you, Lewis. And so for me, I'd go back to the 30-year-old and I'd say, I want you to achieve. I want you to win. Please enjoy this moment. Please be present right now. The 40-year-old Lewis, with this beautiful relationship you're in now and all the achievement, don't miss now for what the possibilities are in the future. Like enjoy now. If this moment right now with the corona crisis teaches us all anything, it's like all we really have is right now. And the more you project into the future, I said in my post today on Instagram, I said, or on all social media, I said, worrying doesn't solve today's problems. It takes away today's peace. And that's most of my posts are lessons for me. So that would be my lesson at 30, 40, and 50 is be more present. You can't love yourself if you're not being yourself. Just be you. Cool. Just be present.
Rule number 9, stay hungry.
I love myself, but I don't accept me as I am. I have very few friends who are like, hey man, this is the way I am. I'm like, really? You're 50 years old, that's it? And so I think when you hear people say depression I think what it really is I just don't accept this version of me. I don't accept that I don't mean to be corny when I say this. I know I've not maxed this out. I know I've not 10x this. And so it is really true. You've seen it in your interviews as well. And I think that if what your desire is balance, is $1 million, is comfort, you're just setting something up, man, that is going to be miserable for you, right? You should always be in this state of flux where like, man, I know I can get here. I know I can help this many people. I know God gave me this giftedness to make a difference in the world. All of us, when we were little kids, when we were little Scarlett's age, we knew we were supposed to do something special. We knew we were supposed to do something great. Maybe our parents or the world or kids at school or whatever, life starts to happen and we forget. It gets further and further from us. And the most enlightened people that I know, the most successful people that I know, the most fulfilled people that I know are very aware of what their capacity and potential is. And so because of that, there's this tension inside them about getting there all the time.
Right, yeah.
And so that's why I don't want balance. I don't want that. I want that guy. And the closer I get to that guy, I'm going to want that guy because that dude can help more people.
Then the question is, when's enough enough?
Right. That's the next question.
Everybody asks that. When's enough enough?
Right. Nunca.
I think it's a terrible question.
Never.
Right.
It's a guy trying to make sense of where he is.
Right. It's actually offensive. It's people in your life saying, please conform so you make me less comfortable with my miserable existence. When my friends say that to me, hey man, when's enough enough? It's almost criticism of the fact that I'd like to go to another level. Can you imagine being in a huddle with Tom Brady and the guys in the huddle go, hey man, we've won 11 games. When's enough, Tom?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine saying that to Kobe Bryant or to the leader of the free world, will it be a Barack Obama or a Donald? When's enough? Aren't we good? Are you kidding me? Right? Like, imagine if someone said that to Jesus. Yeah. Hey, brother, when's enough? It's the most offensive question you could ask somebody. Any whatever your religion is, right? Can you imagine asking somebody, when's enough? That's an offensive question.
Yeah, and rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is get your happiness now.
I think one of the most contagious, we got the coronavirus thing going on right now, but one of the things that's really contagious is unhappiness in the world today. The more I interact with people on social media, I do my program, to the extent that people are unhappy is shocking to me. And with the stock market, all the things politically going on right now, you have to really be intentional about what you want in your life. And I think sometimes we think, once I get this car, or I get this relationship, or I get this promotion, then I'll allow myself to be happy. So we delay happiness to this future destination. The fact of the matter is, you're gonna bring you with you when you get to these places. So if you think you're gonna be happy when you get into your big mansion, you're gonna be in there with you. And so I always recommend something called blissful dissatisfaction, which is be intentional about getting your happiness now. You don't want a big house. You want a big house because you think that'll make you happy. You don't want a relationship. You do, but you think that relationship's gonna make you happy. What if you could have the tools and strategies to give yourself the gift of that in the present moment? And the hook is, ironically, the more you can feed yourself with happiness and bliss now, the actually more likely you are to get the relationship, to get the house, to get the promotion, to get those external things.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Ed on how to visualize in detail that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what can you do today to get your happiness now? Give me your answer, put it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in a video, you're still here watching, I wanna celebrate you. Believe Nation, we don't just watch videos, we do something about it, we execute. And if that's you, you're gonna take action today, give me a hashtag Believe down in the comments below and tell me where you're from as well, because I wanna celebrate you.
You talk about visualization in sports. You played baseball.
I did, yes.
And is that when it started to kind of come together for you, when you started saying, okay, this is, because I know that obviously that's how it worked out for me, is sports. Yeah. Is that what happened for you?
Yeah, to equate our athletic careers would be pretty hilarious. but I did play college baseball and had a chance to go play after that too. My sophomore year, I got hit with a pitch, sort of catastrophic injury where a tumor formed on my calf. Part of my calf was removed multiple times, and that sort of derailed the future of my career, but it was a gift. Again, it happened for me. Here's the gift part. I couldn't play for 6 months. We had a team psychologist, which most college teams didn't have. And he goes, Eddie, what I want you to do is during BP, batting practice, I want you to sit behind the cage, and all you're going to do is visualize line drives up the middle, line drives up the middle. My freshman year, I hit like 280. Line drive up the middle, line drive up the middle. And he'd make me visualize. And then he would take me through the details. He goes, okay, what are you seeing? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, where's the camera? Is the camera behind home plate you're looking out? Or is the camera in center field you're looking in? I'm like, I don't know. So he would force me to specifically visualize like a professional. I go, okay, it's center field. Okay, cool. Where's the ball coming out of? Is the pitcher right or left-handed? I didn't know.
Yeah.
He's right-handed. Okay, when he releases the ball, do you see the release point? No, see it. See the release point. Okay, can you see the rotation of the stitches? Is it a curveball or fastball? And he'd make me slow down where I could count the stitches on the ball. So people think they visualize, is my point. They don't visualize in great specificity and clarity. So he made the visualization so much more specific that as the ball would come in, he got me to the point where I could see the ball hit the bat, which I couldn't before. And I could see the rotation of the stitches start to go the other way off the bat. Anyway, I do this like thousands of times for 6 months. I take my first batting practice as a pretty average hitter. And the first 27 straight balls over my head in the dirt, line drive up the freaking middle. I couldn't miss. Then I popped one up and I hit 16 more up the middle. The next year I led the nation in hitting. And what he said to me that was fascinating, man, is after I had that good year, I thanked him. And he goes, you know why you had that year? I said, no. He goes, because you atrophied, you lost weight, you weren't in great shape. He said, you didn't ground out or pop out for 6 months. For 6 months, every single thing I did was a line drive up the middle. I had no real world losses because your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between an imagined event and a real one. So what I was doing is I was having the thought of hitting that ball up the middle and anchoring the feeling in my body with a little self-confidence, and it changed me in hitting. So that switched my having no clue about visualization and goal setting and self-confidence to flipping it completely, and then I've used it in business.
If you want 10 awesome rules from Matthew McConaughey, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
The work ethic's always been an important thing for me. If just, here's the thing, based on sheer embarrassment of not being able to do my job as well as possible.